Welcome to Techbytes with Technext. Here, we bring to you a brief roundup of everything exciting about the tech space across Africa and indeed the entire globe. From startup announcements to new inventions and the latest buzz on the social space. We will be sharing industry important highlights and exploring the news within the news. We will also be bringing industry experts to share opinions about major news for the week. And most importantly, watch out for our exciting future for this week. We are sure it will be an exciting session you won't want to miss. Let us begin.
What's up, people? You're welcome to Techbytes with Technext. We're set to bring to you everything exciting about the tech space in Nigeria, across Africa, and indeed the entire globe. My name is David Afolayo, and I have with me our foundational tech bro, Dami.
Hi guys. Good morning, afternoon, wherever you are.
Yes, anywhere from Africa. Good morning, good afternoon. This week we'll be sharing exciting updates from the global tech space as usual, and we'll be having an exciting conversation with a lady in tech, someone that is doing some beautiful stuff in the tech space. We'll be speaking with Rachael Akalia of Patricia. Now you have to stick with us to get to the end, so that you can enjoy the juice in this session, right? Now let's go around the world of tech in 10 minutes. In this part of this podcast, we're going to be sharing with you just news updates around the world, and we're going to be doing that in 10 minutes. So first, let's start with the first story here. The UK plans to integrate blockchain technology into its traditional market. According to Gwyneth Noss, the Director General for Financial Services of the United Kingdom, has announced at the IDX conference in London that the country is planning to integrate blockchain to bolster its financial markets. What do you think about that, David?
I mean, that's like a quick contrast from their stand like a month ago, where the FCA, the Financial Conduct Authority, were like, UK guys should not invest in crypto.
Yeah.
And just a month after or some weeks after, we are talking about they integrating blockchain itself into their financial thing.
So what does that really say? I mean, these 4 weeks you're saying blockchain, crypto, avoid.
Yeah, until 4 weeks later,
you're saying we are thinking of using.
I think it just speaks to the technology itself. I mean, it's an emerging technology, so there are always new information, like literally every day. So you have to be open to it. You have to continue to learn about it and see how you can integrate it. And it's cool that a very big country like UK is willing to actually innovate around this. It would help with the other countries' adoption and everything. I mean, if UK can do it, then we might probably see several other countries also stepping in and doing the same.
Fantastic. So Mr. Noss said that the first step will be creating a sandbox where innovators can play around with ideas before it is open up to everybody to use.
Definitely their own sandbox will not be like our own, where sandbox will be there for 4 or 5 years.
that is no longer a sandbox.
It's not a desert box.
Okay, so let's come down to Africa. Yeah, Kenya is planning to introduce the 20% tax for digital lenders. So we know about Kenya, and the most popular thing about Kenya is M-Pesa. There are a lot of people who use digital mobile money platforms in Kenya, and suddenly the regulators in that space are beginning to look at that space to really see how they can make money. We've seen a regulation that is trying to manage the people who work in the tech space. But now they are saying they're planning to introduce another 20% tax for digital lenders. So that means that if you borrow $100, and let's say the percentage for the lender is, let's say, 20%, $20, it means you're going to pay back $120. The profit for the lender is $20. Of that $20, the Kenya authority wants to take $5.
Wow. That's mad. That's insane, because really, one thing is sure, definitely they'll shoot up their interest rates.
Sure.
definitely, except maybe the government steps in and gives like an interest gap or cap to it and says you cannot exceed
the
this.
regulator is government now.
Exactly, like I said, and what it means is that if for government too, if M-Pesa or wherever it is, Tala or whichever other
there's
player,
Tala, there's Branch, there's Okash.
yeah, like Branch or something. I think the least currently is like 15%,
Yes.
and some have as high as 19 point something percent.
Yes.
So
between
if
15 and
Branch
20.
shoots their interest rate to 30% and they get more, that means more money for the government too. So it's a dicey one. Government and the company, they will definitely be on the winning side. It's the consumers that will most likely be on the losing side as it is. And the reason why people are lending money from digital lenders is because they don't want to go through the stress and they are broke. So now if lending money from a digital lender will land you in more brokenness, then what's not the point?
Like usually, so people have argued that maybe it will discourage people from borrowing, because as we speak, about 13% of Kenya's population has taken a loan in the past 5 years.
Almost. So that's like 10 million, 8 million ish.
13% of 53.7 million people. So people are saying this may discourage other people from borrowing money, but some other people have argued that borrowers will borrow, lenders.
Yeah, definitely. People borrow.
So people would always borrow.
Hopefully, Branch does not have to start sending obituary.
Exactly. But the question now is, will people be able to pay back? Because when you want to borrow, you're under desperation. Like
you probably might even check the details
by
and
the
things
time
like that.
You now see what you're returning. People who are lending through mobile platforms mostly are not very educated, financially literate. So they will now be like, am I paying 125 instead of 120?
And you just zone out.
Then you now start posting their obituary.
I mean, I think the best way for government to just put like an interest cap. You can't exceed this particular interest rate for this thing.
Good. All right. So the latest on our Elon Musk and Twitter conversation. If you've been listening to this podcast before now, we've given week-on-week updates on Elon Musk and his Twitter purchase. Baba has not still paid up to now. But last week we said that there is this impasse between both platforms, because Elon Musk is saying many of the users are spam bots, and Twitter had this argument back and forth. You have to still pay what you've promised and all. But now Twitter has taken a step towards the truth by saying Elon Musk can have access to all Twitter data. That is about 500 million tweets that is posted each day. And the lawyers from Elon Musk's side have said, this is a good step. Now we are evaluating the value again. But Twitter board has insisted that the $44 billion stands. What do you think?
I think it's more of like a business strategy. Musk has probably sat down with his team and be like, that tweet I made though. maybe for some reasons they feel like Twitter is not worth that much and they're trying to underbuy them. And Twitter themselves are saying, Baba, you can't underbuy us, so we can't undersell to you. You have to buy us at the particular. I'm just more interested in the data that they say they'll be sharing with. That data is actually very scary. I mean, the location, the device you use. I mean,
everything. The location, the device, the time, everything. You would have access to it. But before now, Musk has been a board member, so I'm not really sure it's much of a biggie.
And definitely there'll be NDAs and things like that around it as well.
Sure.
They should buy what they want to buy. Well, these acquisitions, they take long, so it's expected. It's just because it's Musk and Baba is always vocal. That's why we are knowing. Else, if it's someone else that is low key, we'll probably not be getting
all of these checks will be done underground, and we would not know the details as it were.
But hopefully, before the end of the year, they'll sort it out.
Yeah. So, Dami, do you use TikTok?
Once in a while, yeah.
Wow, like how many hours per day?
Like 30 minutes, an hour.
Because I know people who use hours, like 7
It's Kelly. It's Kelly that is taking them to TikTok.
I did not say that. On TikTok, right? So people use a lot of hours on TikTok. And TikTok is saying, by itself, it's going to be creating a feature that would allow people to see how many hours they spend on the platform. Hopefully, maybe they will be able to control themselves and spend less hours. because there have been arguments, there have been petition that TikTok is addictive because of the way it is structured. And TikTok is saying, come on, guys, we are going to be creating a feature that will tell you, oh, guy, you've used 10 hours last week. This week you're using 15 hours and all. What do you think about that?
Hopefully the message doesn't come with well done. You've used 10 hours this week, because that's what most platforms do when they're trying to tell you you've used 8 hours this week, you've used 10 hours. They'll tell you well done, good job on what you used this week and things like that. But I don't really think it will make any difference. I mean, if you're showing me I've used 8 hours on TikTok, I might be like, oh, 8 hours really, but I mean I'm still watching and it will make any difference. I know Facebook also did it at one time, where Facebook would tell you that you want to take a rest and things like that, but except the only place it would actually work and all is to stop the person from watching, which you can't do, because I mean social media platform, the more people you use, the more you make your money.
I mean, that's their model. Like, the way they make their money is if you spend more hours. So, people have said, some analysts have said, this is nothing, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just,
you've always measured,
you just feel good.
You've always measured the hours people use. The only difference at this point is that you're showing people how many hours they've used.
People that are watching know how many hours they've spent.
so the only thing you can do is,
except you're lying to yourself, you know how many hours.
What would have been better is if you create a feature to say how many you can set the limit for yourself. Say weekly, how many hours do I want to use on TikTok?
It stops.
And once you've used that number of hours, TikTok will not allow you to view
that's like
anymore.
The only way that it will really be a difference.
TikTok should shoot itself in the foot.
I mean,
that's
where they make their money.
That's where they make their money from. But that's the argument. I think social media regulation is still one sphere that is not well covered. We have not really exhausted the conversation on what is possible.
Most of the conversations have been about data and privacy.
And that's not all.
That's definitely not all. You're talking about content moderation.
Exactly.
You're talking about,
I mean, this morning some people were having arguments about the algorithm. I don't follow Kelly, for instance. I don't know who Kelly is. But
if you go to TikTok, it's trending.
TikTok, I saw Kelly.
Like I opened it last week and I saw like 3 Kelly videos within like 10 videos, and I was like, bro,
how did TikTok determine that I want to watch what Kelly is doing?
That algorithm is one of the things that Musk is also shouting for Twitter too, that the algorithm is faulty, that people should select what they want to see.
If I do not follow other people, it means I don't want to see their content. So if you say these videos are trendy and you show it to me, somehow
it's a breach of privacy.
You're just trying to test out if I'm going to fall for this bait, and when I begin to watch it, you give me more Kelly videos. I think that is where
Twitter will tell you tweets we think you might like. What are you to think for me, bro?
Or they will say, Dami like this video.
Yeah,
I'm not Dami.
Tweets from people you follow.
Yeah, the fact that Dami is my friend does not mean we like the same type of video.
Why are you showing me?
But so if we really want to regulate this space, those are the kind of conversations we should start from. Right? So let's take away the algorithm process altogether. If I have just 3 friends, show me the video of these 3 friends. If there are no
Simple,
videos,
and
fine.
we move.
Then you open a new account and they're suggesting these platforms to you, and you're wondering on what basis
did you suggest this to me? You're telling me I should follow Mohamed Buhari. Why do I want to follow him?
Okay, so it's interesting, right? But that's all that we're going to take in 10 minutes around the world. We've been able to share with you some exciting news items, and we do that here weekly on our Techbytes podcast. Now we're going to go to our interview for the day. And today we'll be having a conversation with a lady in tech, a woman in tech. We're going to be talking about the experience of women in the tech space. Oftentimes people have always thought that for you to work in the tech space you must code, you must be front-end designer.
You must be wearing hoodie and big glasses.
You must do your hair in a particular way and all. But we have a lot of people who work in this space who are not developers, front-end, back-end, whatever, because the ecosystem is just like every other business space. You need a lot of support services for the business to run very well. And today we're going to be speaking with somebody who works in that space in a very powerful department. I say it because branding and communications is a powerhouse of any company.
It's the most important one.
Some people will argue with the most important. But
it is now, but okay.
but it's a powerhouse
day.
of any enterprise. So we are going to be speaking with Rachael Akalia. She's the brand manager at Patricia. We know Patricia, the crypto exchange platform. Rachael is a brand manager who helps fintech startups build an audience by bridging the gap between user experience and brand perception using data-informed marketing practices. Before she became a brand manager, Rachael had been a successful customer experience manager. She has experience in sales, operations, and content management. All of these that I had mentioned are also part of our ecosystem that does not require you to code. Yeah, non-techie tech. Yeah, because I know there are a lot of people out there who want to come into this space and you're really thinking of data analysis, AI. Don't go too far, bro. There are very powerful places in tech that you can function. And at free time, Rachael enjoys volunteering, learning, and mentoring new startups within the blockchain system. So we're going to be speaking with her about her experience in this space and of course learning points and advice for people who want to be like Rachael. You're welcome on board, Rachael. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great.
Fantastic. So let's start from the very top. Can you remember your first experience with tech? When you say tech, like tech. When and where was that? If you can relive the experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So my first experience with tech was when I, started working with Patricia, right? But initially, before I started working with Patricia, I'd, known about tech, but not the technical aspect of it. I knew about the blockchain technology space because I was privileged to have friends around me that were interested in that space. So having to know them and being friends with them, rubbed off on me. That rubbed off on me. The interest in that space rubbed off on me. But I wasn't really interested in it because I didn't really understand what it was about and the opportunities that I could find in that space. But when I started working with Patricia, when I went for the interview and I officially resumed at Patricia, I really got interested in the space, not just because of the work I was doing on my job per se, but because, yes, I saw the numerous opportunities we could get from the space and how interesting and enlightening the space is. I mean, the blockchain technology space. So that was my proper introduction into the world of tech, right? And I think it has been a smooth journey since then.
Oh, okay. So with your previous training before you joined Patricia or do you have like any training or sort that had prepared you for your experience with the tech space, or was Patricia the first time you would be doing core tech? Did you study anything close to tech?
Oh, no, I didn't. I studied economics in the university. I went to Nnamdi Azikiwe University in the East, that's in Oka. And again, I didn't have any knowledge about the space generally, whether the blockchain technology space or even the tech space in general. And it wasn't like I did any science-related course. I'd always hated chemistry or physics or any science-related course per se. So I was just I hated maths, right? But in university, I had to do stats. I did stats 101. I did lots of maths, but I studied so I could pass. It wasn't like I was keeping the knowledge somewhere because it was going to be relevant in the future. I hated anything that had to do with calculation. But the twist to it is that, funny enough, I'm interested in calculations now, right? Because my job entails I have to know a little bit of data science. Not a little bit of, I have to be interested in data science so I could properly, analyze data and report data. So now I'm getting interested in maths and stats because it's something important and I know it's relevant. But then I wasn't really interested in tech, and it was tech related that I did. I don't even think I'll call it tech related. It was just the normal introduction to computer science that you would do in school, and then I went to computer training school. I went to computer training school to learn your usual Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and the rest. So that was like basic knowledge. Then in 2015, it was like basically you have to know all of that. I was in school 2013. I left school 2015, so it was like basic knowledge. Then you have to understand all of that before you get into school. So that was the only training, if I'm to say I had a training that I had then. But aside that, not really. So it was when I got into Patricia that, courtesy of my job and the fact that I have to stay on top of things and on top of trends, I have to keep learning and taking courses and doing a lot of research, right? Because as a startup way back in 2018, Patricia started up in 2017. I joined in 2018, so it was a fast moving environment. It's a hyper growth. The environment I'm in is a hyper growth environment. So if you don't learn, if you're not on track, you just be left behind. So it's just me learning. It was a lot of self-research and just in-depth studies, just to understand the space and to be on top of trends. Not because it was I was interested in it per se, but because it was a job and it needed to be done. Like I needed to get the job done.
Yeah.
Then halfway into it, I got
money.
halfway into it, I got interested. Yeah, I got interested because I'm like, oh, okay, there's so much money in this space. So why am I not taking advantage of that, right?
Yeah.
So let's understand this thing and see how we can make money out of it.
Yeah. I honestly agree with you because the blockchain space is new. And for a lot of people, it's complex. Yeah, it is very complex. So first, you found your way into the tech space. You found your way straight away into the blockchain space, and that is a lot to bring in at once. So how have you? I mean, you've told us how you've been able to cope because you said your office is a high growth place, and you do a lot of personal learning and learning from other people who play in that space. But I would love to ask, how would you describe your experience about the tech space? Some people tell you it is a very difficult space. Some people tell you it is a closed environment, just quite a few people benefit, and people have different tales, some good, some bad. How would you describe your own experience from you joined to this point?
All right. For me, it has been enlightening, per se, if I'm to say the least. It has been very enlightening, right? And it has been an privilege to have, I would call them coaches and mentors or, sponsors, right? That, have encouraged me and pushed me to be my very best in the space. And how do they do? Like, the way they've been doing this has been really phenomenal, because for things that I never thought, or things I never thought I could do, things I never thought I could, get a grasp of, it's just something as little as them telling me, oh, Rachel, I think that sets me on my feet and keeps me running, right? So aside that, I'm someone that is, I'm naturally curious. Yes, I'm naturally curious. So if there's anything new happening, I want to get on top of it. I want to understand what is happening. So my one of my motto about life is know everything, but you don't have to apply everything, right? So, but you should know everything if possible. So if you're in a space and they're talking about something, you should understand, at least have a thing to say. So it's better you're prepared, and then opportunities come your way and you don't have need for them, than those opportunities come in and you're not prepared at all. So for any space I find myself in, I always learn. I've learned to apply myself, to do the very best I can, and to keep learning. And that's what has taken me from the space of being an operations manager to becoming a customer experience manager, to my switch to tech, and then now becoming a brand to marketing, getting to conquer that space, know everything I need to know about it, then move to the next, because I get bored easily, right? So if I'm not learning something constantly, I feel like I've gotten to a plateau or something, and I hate that state. I hate being comfortable per se. So I always want to try. For me to thrive, I have to face challenging situations. So for me, I don't think the space is difficult to get into, right? We are privileged to have the internet, yes, and then whatever information or resource you need, just go on the internet and Google it, and you will find it. So the space is not hard to penetrate, right? If you just want to start, you just need to take a step, and there'll be people there to guide you. If you don't have people to guide you, should guide you. And if your motivation is not guiding you, well, the fact that lots of people are making money in this space, that should be enough. Yes, to push you. But I think that's it.
Yeah, but so I mean, this would be like a follow-up question. A couple of women we've spoken with, and from what we've seen in people's tweets on Twitter and all of that, a lot of people have said, yeah, the men folk dominate this space, and I don't know if that is an experience you can relate with, both in the space, in the company where you work, and your interaction with other women. Is it a general feeling? Folk no longer dominates the tech space.
Okay, so if people are to say that yes, the men folk got into the space, to say that the men folk dominate the space. Way back in 2018, 2019, 2020, I would have probably agreed with that. But now that is not the case, right? Because we have a lot of women breaking grounds or breaking. The way tech is in this part of the world is not just about your usual fintech. There's agri-tech, there's ed-tech, there's health tech. Like there's a lot of possibilities to the technology space, right? So it's not just about blockchain technology. So there are people breaking grounds and breaking boundaries, especially women, right? And for some of these women, courtesy of being in the space, I've had the opportunity or the privilege to interact with some of these women or even get to know them. And I follow some of these people, right, to see the amazing work they're doing, right? The CEO of Shotlast, the founder of Shotlast, that's a lady. Ifedurosimi of Economy, there's Folayemi of Tix.Africa, right? Tix.Africa for bookings, right? There's Damilola. Okay, I've already mentioned Damilola of Shotlast, right? Yes. There's Odun. Everybody knows Odun, Piggy Vest, right? She's been breaking boundaries since how many years down the line, right? It's just for women to, get into the space and take that as an encouraging factor for them to move on. There's Damilola of Binance that is doing amazing work. I got to know of Damilola in 2019, right? Because of few of the tech events we had, blockchain events we had, and have been seeing her anchor a show within the blockchain space. I think it was a conference by Business Day, and I was blown away. Wow, only for me to do some research about her, and I read up on her, and she has been doing this for a long time, right? So there are women out there. It's just left for you to, take a step. And if you think this thing is open to maybe older women, no. There's Yamo of Bamboo. There's Adora of Microsoft. She's a software engineer at Microsoft, and she's also the founder of Unstack, which is one of the communities that if you're looking to get into tech, you should be aware of, right? There's Techbytes of Crowdyverse, there's Sean of Cheaper Cash, for people that think that, you only have to be involved in technical roles. No. Sean is a senior product manager at Cheaper Cash, right? So these are people breaking boundaries in tech. There's Adan Duka that I recently got to know of. That was during the Women's Month. That was during March when we had a Twitter space with her. She's the founder of She Codes Africa. She's an amazing, and she's pretty young, doing amazing stuff within the tech space. There are lots and lots of people. There's Hillary. I got to know about Hillary last month. Last month, May 20th, when TechPoint had their blockchain event, right? Hillary is the UX researcher at NextPoint. There's Oluchi Enebeli. See, they are amazing women doing a lot of things in the space. Yes, there are a lot of women doing a lot of things in the space. So I don't think there are no women in the space, and I don't even think it's a space that is male dominated. No, women they are changing that narrative, honestly, and they've been doing that for a long time. Just that nobody took record of it, but now they're just they're changing the whole narrative. So people should not, women out there, ladies out there should not feel like, this is a space that is dominated by men. How do I even get in? No, just get your laptop, go on the internet, and you can get started. And there'll be women to cheer you on. There'll be women to hold your hands and make sure you get to where you're going to.
So, I mean, that is a very revealing take, because you're sharing with us quite a profile of a lot of women that are doing exciting stuff. I know we did a report in Technext during Women's Week. the
Yeah.
top 10 women, and we did a list of other 20 women to watch out for. And it's exciting to see that there are a lot of women doing a lot of stuff in this space. But some women have said, yeah, we are beginning to grow now in terms of influence, in terms of
and
capacity, in terms of achievement. But there is also that problem of funding, because 2021 report says that of all the startups that were funded, less than 13% were led by female founders. You really think that investors should begin to take a chance with startups that are led by women when it comes to funding?
Yeah, definitely. Again, like I said, you know how maybe a space is really people don't really understand a space, and then once someone takes a step and gets into the space and starts thriving, other people will be like, oh yes, I think we should get this figured out. I think we should get into this. That is what is happening with the women folk, right? And when it comes to funding, way back in, I think a few years ago, Shotlas raised 1.6 million in seed funding, right? And Shotlas is owned by Damilola, right? And Okra also raised 3.5 million in seed funding also. And I've forgotten this lady that owns Real Fruits. I don't know if you guys know Real Fruits. Effiong Williams, Effiong Williams also raised funding, and these are all women. They are all women in the space. So if women can do it, if those three women can do it, I'm sure there are lots of other women. If I do my research, that I can find out that have raised funding within the space. And there's this woman that really inspires me a lot, Ife Dorosumi of Economy. She's really doing amazing stuff in the space, and trust me, and she's involved in a lot of accelerator programs, right? Her business, her startup, that's Economy, has been involved in a lot of accelerator programs, and it's going to be very soon you'll hear news like that. So there are people in the space, women in the space, that have raised funding. So if we think that investors are not really looking at investing, or maybe VCs are not looking at investing in women's startup, that's not the truth. There are people, as long as you have a product that works, as long as you have a product that can do valuation, yes. As long as your product can hit volumes, yes. Investors will be interested in it, and you can just get started. Whatever it is that a startup that is owned by a man, right, can do, that of a woman can also do that. As long as your startup can scale, that's all that matters. Numbers is all that matters to the VCs or the investors. As long as you can give them numbers, trust me, funding is not an issue.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you've been mentioning lots of achievements and lots of breakthrough in your career and your journey as a woman in tech. I would just like to ask, what has been like your biggest challenge so far? What has been like the biggest challenge you faced working in tech? Okay,
so for me, I don't think I have encountered any challenge that was not surmountable. They say, again, like I said initially, I've been privileged to have people cheering me on, courtesy of the environment. I mean, I'm also privileged to be in communities, right, that you get to have people cheer you on even when you feel like you're in a fix. So again, one of my principles in life is there's a loophole to any policy or any law. So if there's a challenge, you have a challenge, there's always a way around that challenge, right? You just have to look deep enough or figure it out. And every problem has a limited lifespan, right? It's not going to be there for a long time. The problems you had when you were a baby are not the problems you have now. The concerns or fears of when you were a teenager, they're not the concerns and fears you have now as an adult. So things change, people evolve. So when challenges come up for me, personally as a person, I thrive on challenges because I get tired of comfort zones easily. So if I'm not being challenged, I feel like I'm in my comfort zone, and I hate those kind of situations. I hate being static, right? So for challenges, and I think a lot of it has to do with the environment I'm in. So my CEO and founder, that's Hanu Fejuru, is someone that believes that impossibility is nothing, right? If someone else there can do that, I can do it, right? And if someone out there cannot do it, I'll be the first to do it. So that's just his belief about life. So that has rubbed off on every single member of the team here at Patricia. So we believe that if there's a problem, we will find a way around it. I'll give an example. The crypto ban of 2021, February 5th, is one solid example, right? So for most crypto exchange platforms, that would have meant them folding up or even downsizing.
Yeah, it was a challenge for many players in the space.
Yeah, it was. It was a huge challenge. But for us over here, what it meant was going back to the drawing board and coming up with solutions. And that changed my whole mentality about life, changed my mentality about, challenges and problems per se, right? Instead of running away or cowering at the face of issues or trouble, you just have to look deep enough to find a solution. So I don't think I have had a challenging situation that I didn't surmount or wasn't able to solve. One that would have been a challenge was when I became the brand manager, because I got into marketing 2 years ago. This year, February 14th, made it 2 years that I've been in marketing, and I've been a brand manager for a year and some months. By July 6th, I'll be 2 years in brand management. So when I got into marketing, right, I was privileged to learn under the tutelage of Rotimi Ogunwede is the Chief Marketing Officer at Patricia right now. And my head of marketing now, his name is Ayola. These people actually taught me a lot about marketing as I know it now. And it wasn't up to 6 months that I got into the marketing space that I was made the brand manager. And I think that showed that they had a lot of belief in me and trust that I could handle things. And the fact that they knew that I wasn't really experienced per se or have a number of years of experience to be able to pull that off. They understood that I was a fast learner and that I was going to thrive in this space, and which was what I did, right? So for every single time I was given something to do that never done before, it just gives me an opportunity to learn more about that thing. So for others, I think that would have posed as it would have looked like a challenge, but for me, it wasn't a challenge. It was an opportunity to learn and thrive, right? So it's either I move forward or I stay stuck there and, whine and let everybody think that, as a woman, you can't do it. It's just giving people extra things to talk about, right? And I like proving people wrong, right? So that's just one thing.
That's fantastic, Rachel. So would you consider that growth as like your biggest win in this space so far? The growth from customer service down to marketing, down to becoming a brand manager. Would you say that is your biggest win as a woman in tech so far?
Not really. Okay. That's not my biggest win, because thinking about growth, I always knew I was going to grow, right? I just didn't know. I knew I was going to grow. I knew how fast I was going to grow. I just didn't know in what space I was going to grow in, right? So growing as a woman in tech wasn't really my biggest win, right? My biggest wins would be doing a lot of first things, right, in tech. A lot of first things within the space I was in Patricia, doing a lot of first, right? Launching, because it is a startup. I know it's different. It's going to be different in other spaces, right? But for Patricia, because it is a startup, right? Introducing a lot of ideas and giving that creative liberty to run with those ideas. It is one thing I've been grateful for, right? Because I know in certain environments, you might not be given the liberty to think of something from the scratch, execute it, and see it come to life, right? But over here at Patricia, you're given that creative liberty to think of an idea. You go through the ideation process yourself. You do the host, come up with the whole strategy, and you execute. See, the system is just interested in results. And as long as you don't break any rules while trying to get those results, once you can show working, once you can bring out results, by all means, come up with your ideas and thrive in the space. So my biggest wins would be doing or having a lot of tests or launching a lot of things within the space, right? Unlike I would have in other spaces. So that has been my biggest achievement so far within the space. Wow. Yes,
that's interesting. Quite interesting, and it's not a general story for women to get into this space and get that kind of trajectory in a very short time. So you must be doing something very special. Now, from a place of experience, I would ask you, Rachel, how would you advise? I mean, people always say mentorship, but sometimes you can't mentor everybody. But people listening to you might get the inspiration to be like you, how would you advise them to, in terms of getting into the space and gaining the kind of growth that you have gained so far? How would you advise younger women to go about it?
Okay, so for people trying to get into the space, right? Um,
Yeah.
I would say first things first, what you should do is figure out what you want to do in the space. What's your motivation, first of all? What's motivating you to get into the space? Because if you get into the space for the wrong reason, you might get out of it as fast as you can, because it's not for the faint-hearted, to be honest, right? You have to do a lot of work. You have to put in a lot of work, right? I think I recently saw a tweet where someone said, "Oh, no one ever told us that the blood money in tech means that you have to
You have to spend
you
your
have to
own
work
blood.
with, yes, you have to work with your own blood, like, yeah. So
Yeah.
there's really not money, but yeah, you have to put in the work. That's the part of it. That's your own, 2 cents. You have to put in the work. So figure out your why for getting into the space. Why are you getting into the space? Are you getting into the space because of money? Are you getting into the space because you probably want to build a product one day and launch? Are you getting into the space because you see a lot of people in the space flaunting a lot of things and you feel like, okay, I want to be like this also? What's your reason for getting into the space? Are you getting into the space because you don't want to be left behind? You want to be on top of emerging trends, and you don't want to be left, or you don't want to be outdated. What's your reason for getting into the space? That is what is going to push you, or keep pushing you when you feel like giving up, or when you feel really tired. That's going to be your motivating factor. So what's your reason for getting into the space? Once you figure that out, the next thing should be, what space do I want to get into? You want to get into the tech space, yes. So what role do you want to get into? Do you want to get into the technical roles or the non-technical roles? And if you feel like, maybe you're like me, you studied maybe an art subject in school, and you feel like the technical roles are not for you. By technical roles, I mean you don't want to be a software developer, you don't want to be a blockchain developer, you don't want to be any of that, you don't want to be an engineer, you don't want to be any of that. And you can really find something that suits your personality or suits where you're coming from if you look deep enough. There are lots and lots of non-technical roles. You can be a UX writer, you can be a UX researcher, right? You can be a UI UX designer, you can be a data scientist, right? Or a data engineer, or even a data analyst. You can be that. You can be a product marketing manager, right? If you're into marketing and you want to cross over to the tech space, you can be a product marketing manager, you can be a product manager, you can be a scrum master, you can be a project manager, you can be a technical recruiter. If you've been in the HR space all your life, maybe you're moving from an FMCG to the tech space, you can be a technical recruiter. If you're a writer and you've been writing for other brands and you've not gotten into the tech space and you want to get into the tech space, you can take some courses and you can become a technical writer. So there are lots and lots of spaces. And if you're even a legal advisor, you work with a legal team and you want to get into the tech space, lots of these startups need legal advisors, right? If you're working in, if there's a startup in the crypto exchange space, because SEC recently just released their regulation, right? So you're going to be needing lots of legal advisements, right? So a legal advisor can get into the tech space. So there are lots and lots of non-technical roles. I'm just listing a lot of non-technical roles. If you're in marketing, you can be an SEO specialist in the tech space. You just need to take some courses, connect with most communities, and try it. So figure out the space you want to get into. Now, once you figure out the space you want to get into, take a step. That's the third thing. Take a step. Start working. Bring out your laptop. If you don't have a laptop, start with your smartphone, right? If you don't have a laptop, I know there are lots and lots of communities. Yes, there are lots and lots of communities that encourage people who are trying to get into the space. Trust me, Twitter is a minefield of knowledge.
You don't. Bottom line is like you don't have an excuse. You can.
There's no excuse at all. If you're thinking that people you don't know who is going to guide you, there are lots of communities. There's Impressive for Good. There's for the technical roles, right? There's Google Developer Circle, Google Developer Group. We had a partnership with them sometime. There's Figma Africa for UI UX designers. There's OnStack Community, right? That's founded by Adora Wudo on Stack. There's Dev Career by Sultan, right? Sultan Akintude. There's Web3 Ladies for women in the blockchain space. There's Web3 Ladies that was founded by Oluchi Enebeli. She's the founder of Web3 Ladies. So there are lots and lots of communities in the space that can help you thrive, right? There's DevOps Nigeria. There's a lot and lots of, communities in the space that if that is your excuse that you don't know who is going to show you the route, or hold you by your hand and, help you take your work. No, there are lots of communities that would help you, right? And there are people offering mentoring sessions for people who mentorship work for. And if you don't like mentorships, just bring out your laptop, do your research, and there are internship positions that you can apply for, right? The world is digitally fast moving, right? So you don't have to be physically present in a company. Lots of companies offer remote jobs, so you can start your internships. If it's learning that's your motivation and you want to start from somewhere, there are lots of internship positions. There are lots of accelerator programs. If you're trying to become a founder or you have an amazing product or an idea, I think that even if you have an idea, you want to sell an idea, there's even a company that helps people, that buys ideas from people. I think it's called ideasmarketplace.com. Buys ideas for people. So there is something for you as a young Nigerian. So first of all, find out the motivation. What's your motivation for getting into the space? That way you don't get tired along the way. The second thing is, figure out the space you want to get into, what road you want to take. And then number 3 is get started, because the more you keep postponing, the more you keep, making, looking for excuses. Everybody's striving in this space. So what are you waiting for? Just get started.
Jot things down.
Just do it. What are you waiting for?
So, Rachel, thanks indeed for your time. This has been an exciting session with you. So, ladies and gentlemen out there, the mantra is simple. First, identify your why. Second, determine what you want to do. Third, find out how you're going to get it done. As she said, there are a lot of tools out there. As long as you have a smartphone or a phone at all, you can get connected to the source of knowledge. And finally, start.
Just do it.
Start. I know you have a lot of stories as to why things are hard, economy is bad, this is blah blah blah. ASU is on strike. You're waiting to get a certificate. But start now. Start now. Thank you, Rachel, for joining us. We really appreciate your time. We hope when we call on you some other time, you'll be willing to.
Oh, definitely. Thanks, Dave. Thanks for having me. It was nice being here.
Thanks, Cindy. Thanks indeed for your time. All right, guys. So that has been our podcast for today. We thank you for joining us. We've gone around the world of tech. We've had an exciting conversation. Next week is going to certainly be short. We're starting with a public holiday. So there are 4 days to go.
Boom. Let's see how it goes.
So join us every week. We are here with Techbytes to share exciting tech stories with you. Follow Technext across our social media platform, on Twitter, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. We are at technext.ng. And my personal handle is at aphorisms_.
Yeah, mine is actdown07.
Yeah, we'll see you same time next week. Bye for now.
Gracias.